Sorry, my shit cut off because battery. Yeah, this dude was, I don't know, I did not vibe with his energy, to say the least. Um, there was the three of us, and he was just talking to this other dude, and I just didn't, you know, I wasn't super interested in jumping into the conversation, and I don't know. Like, and then the one time the other guy said something to me, this guy, like, responded to that comment to, like, try to redirect conversation away from me again. It's really annoying. Um, and then I ate breakfast and then I left that day. So there was one more day in between. We hung out on the beach and played guitar. Oh, and then that night we are like talking about gender and in a really nice way. Um, but yeah, I left that morning. Okay, so yeah, there was this drama at the Rainbow where um, people were like touching women inappropriately, and then women wanted to have a private circles for just them to talk about this, and then men, some guy decided to have this for men as well, and then there was this tension about having the men's circle and the women's circle. So then we just sort of organically started this our own gender non-conforming circle, and it was really nice to like share our stories. And some of us were gender non-conforming, some of us were, I guess, gender conforming, but it was just really sweet. It was it was unique in that, the spirit of it was actually inclusivity. It was a proper, like, it was actually a space of inclusivity. um, Meaning that everyone was included. As opposed to these places where they weren't. um, so that was very special. I think especially special for some of the other people there. um, but I got tired, and so I went to sleep. And I think it went on for a while, actually, after I slept. But then, yeah, the next morning was when we were gathering the shit. I ate breakfast, and then I headed out. I hiked. Oh man, I gotta wait seconds so I can remember this shit. So another thing that we did was we went over, and there was this other beach there next to the beach that the Rainbow was at, that was even more beautiful. And this beach, I just went with a couple of friends there, and then there's like a little cafe near there, like an actual Indonesian place where they were just selling some stuff. And then we bumped into this guy there, and I was talking about like some thoughts or feelings I was having, and he was just so cold but intelligent, and like saying, things that were true, but in this like very like, it's just like, yeah, I don't know why, like, you seem like just preoccupied with the past or something like that, or like thinking that that exists, or you know couldn't get a smile out of this guy. And he was like very interesting, very, I don't know if that's interesting, but I don't know. Anyways, so whatever, eat breakfast. I had, I think, already packed my tent up, or broken my tent down, packed my bag. Um, and then I got my shit and I headed out. Um, the paths there are actually sort of maze-like, so I mean they veer off and stuff, and sometimes they're so skinny they're just like a like a motorcycle tire thick. Um, and then there's obviously grass you can walk on, but I kind of found my way. I think I went past the visitor center, and then I was just sort of on some dirt road, and uh, somehow found my way to this other place where there were some people from the Rainbow, and they had some food there. There was this really intense veganism conversation happening, you know, between like vegans, like vegan and I think maybe someone that was like vegetarian. They used to be vegan and now sometimes had eggs or something, and this dude was so, like, just so hardcore, you know. There was nothing interesting about the conversation. It was just, a spectacle, like, because there wasn't an argument the woman could make, because once it was eating animals, it was like, okay, So I had my food there. Um, and then I kind of wanted to hitchhike back. There was this lady. Oh, yeah, this lady who just wanted to start traveling with me, to hitchhike back with me, but I could barely understand her. It was very, very confusing what was going on. I didn't know if she was going with me or what was happening, like where she was from or what she was doing. Um, but eventually, and I was like trying to find hail a car with her, and it just wasn't working. And then I eventually found the house that we had first stopped at, and I was there, I think, that I met this guy, and it was just, I just sat with him and was talking with him, and he offered to give me a ride, and he wanted some money. I didn't want to pay him, but eventually I did, because he said also that I could stay with him, and then he could give me a ride to the bus, and he was going to take the bus. So it was like, okay, like whatever. Then he asked me for more money. Like, that was bullshit. Like, I was just splitting gas with him, and then he like took some more money and didn't give me change. And but then I got some food. Like, we stopped at this girl's house, and I got some, she gave me food. Then I stopped with him, and we got back to his house, and I had my own room there. He was living with his parents, and they had this huge place, actually. They had tons of these like styrofoam containers there. It was like a warehouse, and then I had a spot there. I had Wi-Fi. I had was chilling downstairs, this little office space. They had a bathroom. I think they were very wealthy. They had like snakes and shit. And I slept there, and then we got on his motorbike the next day. Got on the bus, much cheaper than when I took the bus to there. Got on the bus back to Bali. And my bus ticket was in his name for some reason, like, because he gets some bonus if he sells enough tickets to other people or something, classic Indonesian shit. I was getting a little tired of like that kind of stuff already. Because I guess first it was the Uber thing, then it was this guy, and then when we got to Denpasar, when we got to Kutai, I walked to the mall and got this bus to Ubud, and then there it was the same shit, everyone's trying to sell me taxis, sell me massage, blah blah blah, same shit. Everything is fucking expensive there as fuck. And, you know, I didn't want to have a negative attitude. I was like, you know, I got some tea there, I got some food. They had really nice showers actually, and I showered and went to bed. And then the next day I was like, you know what, like, I know you Indonesian people are better than this. And I had my little notebook and I just wrote, I just wrote the name, like, I had this idea of, like, I wanted to hitchhike on a cargo ship and go out to Papua. So I I had no idea where the harbor was, but I knew there was this one beach where there were ships, so it was really far away though, so I just wrote the name of the nearest town, like going north from Ubud, and I just walked to the street corner, and had my sign out for maybe a minute and got a ride on a motorcycle, and then we went there. He dropped me off. He was trying to, like, we were trying to communicate. He was telling me he can't bring me any further. I was like, yeah, I know. Thank you, thank you, thank you. Eventually he left, you know. And I walked a little further. I got another ride. This was just really short because it was a woman was paying this dude for a taxi, and then she wanted to split it with me, and I was like, no, and then so I just got out. But then I got a ride with, then I made a new sign for this mountain. Got a ride with a bunch of guys, this dude that sells hong drums, and then, and all these took like maybe 5-10 minutes, you know. I was doing it right in front of police too. They didn't care, like, they're so chill about it. Same in Thailand. Most of the rides I got in Thailand were like from Thai army guys, Thai police officers. But anyways, and that was just hitchhiking when I was going between Pai and Chiang Mai. I was hitchhiking with friends. Anyways, what was I saying? Oh yeah, so then these guys brought me pretty close to the mountain. And then there were all these like fields where they were growing like fruits there, I think. I'm not sure what they had. Then there was a dude on a motorbike, this Rasta guy, gave me another little ride, a little bit closer. And then I wrote down what was the name of it? I don't know, some town that's on the northern border. I can't remember. I got my notebook somewhere. My notebook's right here. I forget what it was called. But this dude gave me a really long ride on his motorbike, and we just kept going and going and going, and he thought I was going to like a specific place, and I was like, no man, just like drop me here. I felt so bad. But it was so nice, you know. He took me so far, and then I got some food, and I was way past this bigger town at this point, you know. And he was bringing me further east, and the place I was gonna go was west. But I was just kind of going with it. So I was just walking around, like along the beach, and was like playing guitar. Like stopped with these guys, was like playing Bob Marley, singing with these guys on the beach, and then it was these like all these Indonesian kids would like follow me around because I was just like this random white dude playing guitar and singing. And there's like these little neighborhoods with just like dirt paths near the beach. And yeah, I also just had I kept taking my tent out of my bag because people would say, like, it was always like, hi, what's your name, where are you from, where are you staying? And then I would point to on my tent, there was a little picture of a tent, and I would be like, here. And then eventually this guy on a motorbike stops and he was like, "Where are you staying?" I was like, "Here, like I'm looking for a place to camp." He was like, "Oh, I know somewhere." I was like, "What?" I didn't trust him at first, but then he was like, "Yeah, like he's telling me how his uncle like owns some land and he'll show me." And then he brought me back down to where I was. Like I was back on that road that wraps around the coast, and he brought me down to the beach and then was showing me this grass there and saying I could stay here. And then he brought me to this little gazebo and said I could stay there. And then he was telling me about this little warung I could go to, this little small shop. Um, get some food, and I was like, "Oh, that sounds great." So we hung out in this gazebo a little bit and just talked. He's a very, very nice man. Um, and he brought me to the warung, and I met Manku there, the priest, and he was saying how he saw me out there, like pointing to my tent, and how that was funny. Like he caught the whole interaction. He had hella good English too. Has hella good English. Shouts out to Manku. Um, and his wife cooked for me, and they kept saying later, later about paying. It's something they always do in Indonesia. It's like later, later. Could never pay him back. Well, I did eventually, because his wife was like, "Come on." But yeah, what happened? I showered at his house, and he told me that I was gonna leave the next day, but he told me that there was the full moon ceremony at the temple the next day. So what'd I do? Oh, I went. Yeah, we hung out a little bit longer, and then I hiked. I went back to where I was staying. I think the other guy must have given me a ride back. Um, Yaman, and I ended up staying. I pitched my tent right next to the gazebo that first night. Yeah, that was what I did. And there was dogs barking. Oh, and there was this like gamelan music at night, like you could hear them playing. That was so dope. And then I fell asleep and woke up. And there was dogs and people walking by, but it was okay. And then I went back and I found um, the guy was chilling. Everyone was just hanging out. Like they just had this little like another kind of gazebo thing on the side of the main road, and we were just hanging out. And there was these Indonesian kids there, and they were too shy to talk to me, but they were like writing me questions in English, and I was answering them. We were just communicating over writing. Um, and they brought me tea, and they brought me like these little cookies, and then this dude like brought me some cooked food. We were just hanging there like all fucking day, like just lying down, relaxing. Then eventually got later and we went back to the shop. I went back there with Manku, and he bought me some food from some guy on a motorbike. And then it's just so nice. We went back to his place, and he decked me out in this like, well, that's really not the respectful way to say it, but he dressed me properly so that I could enter the temple. And he was like, "Yeah, if anyone asks, like, just say you're here with your brother Manku." And I met a guy, so I walked to the temple. He and his wife. What happened? I must have gotten a ride with him, and then he had to go into the temple, and I had to wait outside first with everyone else. And I met this guy who spoke some English, and he was super nice, and he was sort of like telling me what was going on. And then I sat with him in the temple, and he was telling me everything to do, like with the incense and the flowers, and with my hands and with the rice, and like everything I was supposed to be doing, and I was sort of in between him and Manku's wife and daughters. And then, yeah, it was a pretty short ceremony. I mean, short by Jewish standards. And then there was the full moon. It was really beautiful. The temples there are so fucking, like, basic. Like, it's basically just, like, I don't know, there's no ceiling, and there aren't really walls either. I mean, there sort of are walls, but it's, like, basically just an open area. You know? I mean, Hindu, like, Balinese Hindu is so different from Indian Hindu. He was kind of teaching me about that a little bit. And then, yeah, we went back. I probably got some food there. Yeah, I got some food. We were hanging out at the Warung. A bunch of people were hanging out there. I went back to my tent. No, I must have packed up my tent. Yeah, I definitely packed it up. So I went back, and that night I didn't stay next to the gazebo. I stayed, like, just out, kind of underneath the coconut trees, and not directly underneath, though. I had to be careful about that. There it was nice on the grass. It wasn't totally level, but it was pretty nice. And Nyoman, like, he gave me this little blanket, because I said I was a little cold the first night, and he gave me this blanket. I still have it. So that was much nicer, actually, with the blanket, because I wasn't traveling with any warm clothes. I left all that in my car. Oh, and this whole time I'm, like, was texting back with people in LA about, like, moving my car, and that was the whole thing. But I woke up. I was gonna take a truck back, but I couldn't really get a ride. Well, and then first, no, I went to the Warung. I met up with Manku. We went to his house, and his wife cooked me breakfast. And then Manku blessed me, gave me this bracelet, and I had to say bye to him, the other guy, everyone. And I just kept walking. Couldn't get a ride at all. You know, some people, like, wanted to buy my guitar for, like, you know, like, no money, like, just, you know, a lot of really bad scammers there, like, people that just, you know, man, it's such a thing. But I got a ride. Actually, he brought me all the way to the harbor, because I was still trying to get on this boat. This dude was a Grab driver, but he was off duty. Then when we got there, he was, like, asking me for money. I was like, this is fucking bullshit, man. But I paid him because I didn't know what to do, so that sucked. But, you know, whatever. And so then yeah, it felt a little weird. Just the way he was carrying conversation, it felt I should have said something. I mean, now I know to say, you know, no money, no honey. But yeah, I got a ride with him. Oh, Manku also wrote me this really nice note. He, like, wrote me this thing that I could show to drivers that says, like, hello, I am traveler and have no money. Could I have a ride with you, please? Thank you very much, or something like that. In Bahasi, I think. No, it was in Balinese language, I think. I don't remember. But I yeah, it was in the Balinese language, not the just general Indonesian. But what happened? Oh, so he dropped me off there, and then I was walking around the harbor, and I met a guy on a fishing boat who, was super confused what I was trying to do, but I was able to explain it to him. And he got off the boat, and I got on a bike with him, and he brought me over to the other side to where the boat is that goes to Papua. And there is one that stops there, but it wasn't there that day. And yeah, it was really cool. It almost felt like it was going to work, but the boat wasn't there. So then he had a friend. I was able to get a ride with him on his bike back towards Kuta. I was going to go to a hostel there. Um, so I kind of got a ride there, like somewhat close to where I was going, and then I just walked the rest of it. So that was super nice of all of them and everyone up north. Oh, near Tejakula, that was where I was going to. But I ended up being closer to this smaller place called Gretek um, in the north. But I then I was just walking towards this hostel, and it took me so fucking long because I was singing and playing guitar and just sing Bob Marley, and everyone would stop me to sing a song with them. It took me hours and hours to walk like a really, really short distance. Um, and then there are these like tourist information booths, so I got to one. I was like stopping, playing with these dudes, and they want to play my guitar, etc. They gave me some tea. I kept going, and then there's another one. And yeah, I met my buddy there. Well, he wasn't my buddy. Well, I hadn't met him before at the time. But then, yeah, he wanted to play my guitar. And for hours, I ended up chilling there. And yeah, I mean, he bought me a lot of milk and, you know, bakso and soup and stuff. And I don't remember that night but I ended up hanging out there almost every day. But basically, it got super late, and I'm like, yo, I'm so sorry, like, I gotta get to my hostel. And I walk, like, maybe 10 meters, and I'm there, if that. um, it was right there. So then I guess it's hostel. I don't know how much of that I should talk about. I don't even know if there's anything else interesting about Indonesia. Just standard hostel shit, more or less. It's just living my life there. Hanging out. I don't know. I'd wake up and I'd buy nasi jingo, which is like nasi is rice, jingo is, I think it means like 1,500 or 5,000 or something. But it's like a dime bag. It's the price is what it's supposed to mean, but they'll charge you if you're foreigner. They charge you more. So I had to find the guys that would sell me nasi jingo at the real price, and was able to do that. I was able to even like meet some Indonesians. They're like, I pay 6,000 for that. I was getting it for 5,000, like, cause I get two for 10,000. And 10,000 Indonesian rupiah is something like 12,000 is like 90 cents, so 10,000 is, I don't know. It's like 13,500 is like a dollar, sort of, so, you know, I don't know. Math is confusing. It's like no, 10,000 I think is 75 cents. I think. Um, but anyways, I'd get a nasi jingo in the morning, and then and it's like rice and fried noodles and some meat, and it's always kind of different what they put in there, but that's more or less the thing. They put this spice on it that's so good. These little like shavings of something. I don't know, coconut, or I don't really know what it is. And it can be pretty spicy, I guess. Like, I don't know. Nothing's really that spicy, but I would eat that, and then play guitar and sing all day. And then I'd mean to like go see the sunset, but it would always like get too late. There's a beach right there, the Kuta Beach, which is just this fucking shit beach. Like, so the sunsets are fucking beautiful, but like the beach is like dirty and it's full of shit tourists, and like, I don't know. I went to some beautiful beaches with the couch surfing family, and like the one in the north was pretty. Oh, I shat in the water there too. I forgot that. The first morning when I woke up from camping, I went and swam in the ocean. And I shat in the ocean. That was pretty crazy. And then I just had to like swim away from it. It was a lot too. I was meditating there. And what happened? Oh yeah. Go to the beach. So I went to the beach a few nights. I mean, maybe like one every 4 nights or something. I'd end up there. And then I would hitchhike to immigration to like extend my Indonesian visa. It was like it takes 3 trips to do that, and they have to be spaced out over like a week from each one, and then I had to deal with getting my Indian visa. Oh my god. But basically this whole time there's 2 restaurants we'd go to, where you just like pick out a bunch of stuff and then they like charge you. Like, it's not really that consistent of a system. I mean, it depends who's working there, I guess. And get some tea. Sometimes I'd walk further down the road and there was a Muslim neighborhood near there where you could also get some good food and like these like ice cream kind of drink things. It's really, really good. Well, it's just like ice and fruit, but in sugar and stuff. Uh, yeah. Yeah, that was so good. And I'm trying to remember. Wow, what did I do? Um, it just made me so hungry. There's one called S Teller, which is S is like ice, and it was like jackfruit and coconut and avocado, I think. It's really good. Um, and like I'm just trying to remember what else was significant. Yeah, I was at this hostel for, a long time, like 3 weeks. Um, Going to immigration, I'd usually get a ride with like a cab. Like I would hitchhike and then a cab would pick me up and bring me for free. Or first time I was just like, I was really just like in the road, and this dude on a motorcycle brought me, um, you know, and brought me right to immigration. I was like trying to get it to be shorter so I didn't have to keep coming back, but like they were pretty hard on it. But I didn't really mind. I mean, I just wanted to explore all of Indonesia, but I also felt like I moved around a lot, and there was value in staying in one place. And but what I learned was that the people there, they're really they they approach foreigners in this way where they try to hustle them. They try to get them to buy this shit, but and I think it's a reasonable, you know, assumption to say like they don't give a shit about you, they just want your money. But it's a wrong assumption. I mean, is what I found, in that I would get very helpful advice from these people if I actually asked them a question. They would tell me where to find the nasi jingo. I had these girls even buy it for me once.